Dear students, I am Mumtaz Hussain from Girls High Secondary School, Sora. Just I would like to just give you some idea regarding a lesson. It's a story in your book, The Vistas. Uh, the name of the story is The Tiger King. You know, this story has been written by one writer. His name is Kalki. When you come to the story, we see that there are five parts in this story. The first part of the story just introduces us to one crown prince who was born, and at the time of his birth in Pratibandhapuram. This place is actually, that it is a part of fiction. It is a fictitious place. It is all fiction writing. When we see that in Pratibandhapuram, the king had a son, and when this crown prince was born, he was supposed to become a king with the passage of time. But the court astrologer in the king's court had just predicted that a time will come that this crown prince will become a great king, and at the same time he would kill 100 tigers. But he will kill 99 tigers, but the 100 tiger will be very, very, we can say, dangerous for the king, fatal for the king. So he should be very much cautious with the 100 king. So in the very first part, we have seen how that introduction to the king, crown prince, and then he's becoming a king. Then ultimately he was also, when he grew up, he became the adult king. He was called the Tiger King. So the Tiger King came to know that basically the astrologer had just predicted, the court astrologer had predicted that it was like that he had to kill 100 tigers. So he just had this ambition now to complete the target and to kill all those 100 tigers. So he started killing tigers. He went for tiger hunt in Pratibandhapuram, his state, and then ultimately every time he would just go and kill tigers and then adorn his palace walls with their hides. So this business of killing tigers was going on. Ultimately, in the second part of the story, we see that a time comes in Pratibandhapuram as a state that the tiger population is just reduced to insignificant, or we can say there are no tigers left. It becomes a great problem for the king. The king is very much worried that what could be done that there are no tigers left. So he calls his divan and his minister, and he just discusses with him. Ultimately, they reach to a consensus that the king should just manage to get tigers from anywhere in the state. So ultimately, the king just summons his divan one day and tells him that he should just do some investigation and look for a girl who from the other state, a royal girl whom the king would just marry, so that ultimately he can go to his father-in-law's place so that he could just kill all those remaining tigers and he could complete the target. So that is what the divan actually does. He manages to get a girl for the king. The king marries that girl. Ultimately, he visits his father-in-law. Every time he visits that father-in-law's home, he kills 5 or 6 tigers, and this way he completes a very good score of 99. So that was something very good from the part of the king. But ultimately, now, again, there is a shock, there's a gloom. The king is very much sad that there is again scarcity of tigers. In the third and fourth part of the story, we see how he manages to kill the tigers from just a score of 70 tigers to 99 tigers. Then ultimately, at the end, he is now just short of killing one tiger. So it is 99 tigers and he has to only kill one tiger now. But he is not in a position to get that one tiger. He is desperately just looking for that tiger, but it's not happening like that. So what he does, the divan is now fed up and he just makes a planning. So he thinks that why not to just manage a tiger from somewhere and get it for the king and inform the king to kill the tiger, and this whole business of killing tigers would come to an end. So the divan manages to do that. His wife is also trying to help him. They do it. They get the tiger in a car, and then ultimately they release that tiger in the jungle. Ultimately, the king goes there and he kills that tiger, but it is a deception for the king. He thought that he had killed the tiger, but when he had left that place in his car just to go to his palace in a very, very joyful and rejoicing manner that he had killed today the 100 tiger. But ultimately, Divan and the other people there, they were just aware about the fact that the the tiger had actually not been killed. It had only fainted by the bullet which actually the king had actually shot, and which had gone just at one side of the king, this tiger, and it had only fainted the tiger. So ultimately the divan himself gets that tiger killed, and he gets the hides of that tiger to the palace, to just give an impression to the king that he had killed all the 100 tigers. Now the king was also happy for doing that. But ultimately, the king was now very much relaxed in his mind. So he just paid some attention to his domestic affairs, to his home affairs. So he had the birthday of his son, who was 3 years old. So what he did, he just went for Pratibandhapuram and just looked for a gift for his child. And he, very ironically speaking, he found a wooden tiger which was quite, very unsmooth and unpolished, like a wooden piece of tiger, and he got it for his friend, for his child, as a gift, as a birthday gift. Ultimately, what happens while playing with his son? What happens that one of the wooden slivers, that wooden bit, enters the king's hand, and it gets pus. It just becomes very much, it starts just giving trouble to the king, and the king is in trouble. Now the surgeons are being called from Madras. They operate on the king, but the whole pus and the whole infection spreads in the body of the king, and the king dies. Humorously speaking, in the end of the story, in the fifth part of the story, we are told that the tiger king, who was named Tiger King, who had killed 99 tigers, ultimately the revenge is taken by these tigers by a wooden tiger, which is basically a type of style adopted by the writer, so that he is able to just show us some sort of humor, and he is trying to just satirize this ambition of killing tigers, and ultimately see a tiger king who was just always ambitious to kill tigers. Ultimately his death happens by just the infection from a toy tiger which he was actually just having as a birthday gift for his son. So this story ends on a very, very humorous note, and these humorous elements make this story very much interesting. And in the very beginning there was seriousness, and towards the end there is that some sort of the pressure is being released, and we have this story ending on a very, very humorous note. So the king dies, and by just, it has been a revenge by the tigers. It's as has been called by the author, the writer, the story writer, and this is the end of the story, and humorous end. This story has a very, very humorous ending. So all the best to all of you. Thank you very much for being here.